You can be with us anywhere in the world. Once again, greetings to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Point Blank is an interactive program, and we'll be throwing up on the telephone lines so as to participate on Point Blank. Today on Point Blank, polity in River State, a subject that has continued to generate concerns, debate for many, and uncertainty for many. Now, in the recent weeks, we've seen River State budget presented to the National Assembly in a matter that has sparked conversation about constitutional procedure and political process. We've also witnessed President Bola Tinubu forward names to the Senate for key positions in the state, and this has also raised important comments. On Point Blank today, we'll be looking at all of these issues. Budget without a house, appointment without consent. Who really is speaking for River State? And I have in the studio some very, very interesting personality. So the River State budget was taken to the Senate. And again, we are asking the big question this morning. Can Rivers people trust the budget driven from Abuja instead of the brick house? Does this mark the collapse of oversight in River State? And joining me in this conversation this morning, I have, well, again, let me just quickly introduce them. These are very important personality. They make up a group that is known for speaking to power. They make up a group that is known for always calling for accuracy and truth. They make up for a group who is also demanding accountability. I have with me in the studio this morning members of the Obedient Movement in River State. And quickly, let me introduce them. A former governorship candidate of River State in 2003 general election with late Chief Gani Fayemi as the presidential candidate. I have in the studio Derego Somiari. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And Derego Somiari is a member of the State Advisory Council of the Obedient Movement. Good morning. And also, Derego is a member of the People's Democratic Party River State, is a managing director, Somiari Dredging and Coastal Limited, contested for Senate on PDP in 2010 general elections. And it's so good to have you in the studio.
Thank you so
also
much.
In the studio this morning, I have someone that we've always known is the Secretary General, Obedient Movement River State, and is a very prominent voice on this radio station, Gogo Wellington. Gogo, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Shegun. Thank you for having me.
It's a great pleasure having you in the studio this morning. And also the Director, Contact and Mobilization, Obedient Movement, River State. We have Nedum Nso Obulo. Is a legal practitioner. Nedum, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Shegun. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic having all the Obedients today. We have a studio full of Obedient Movement this morning. And again, the issues are very, very critical. We're looking at the issues affecting River State. So far, what we know is that River State has presented a budget to the Senate, but we're asking that, can this budget be trusted by Rivers people? Also, what we also know is that River State has made nominations to critical position, including the position of the River State Independent Electoral Commission, the chairman. And these nominations were made to the National Assembly. Again, can we trust these personalities? Who are these personalities? And another one we also know is that there is a plan for local government election in River State. So we're asking the question, how can we have this local government election and in River State? So beyond the headlines, beyond the political calculation, one critical question remains. Who is truly speaking for Rivers people? And that's the question we are asking this morning. Beyond everything, political calculation, the headlines, and political permutation, given everything we have seen from Abuja, the nomination of a RISEC chairman for River State, the budgets for River State, planned local government election for River State, appointment of key positions for River State. Who is speaking for Rivers people? And again, I have the Obedient Movement. I'm going to start with Mr. Derego Somiari. You've been in politics for a very long time, and I know you're a member of the Obedient Movement. What is happening? Is this strange to you?
Thank you so much. Thank you once again for having me. I must tell you, this is absolutely strange. The development we're experiencing today in Rivers State, especially the issue that has to do with the declaration of the state of emergency, is totally unknown to law. And so whatever flows from that development is a nullity. And so that is exactly what my position is. It is so sad that Rivers State, a state that is virtually responsible for the sustenance of the entire country, a state that was supposed to be part of the democratic system in this country, and if indeed democracy is a government of the people by the people, then I expect that the Rivers people should be directly responsible for the affairs in this state. As it stands now, with the sole administrator in charge, Rivers people are completely disconnected from what is going on in Rivers State. They are not participating in the decision making. Those who have taken up, a position of leadership in Rivers State are not a representation of the Rivers people, and so cannot speak for the Rivers people. Whatever flowed from the state of emergency is a complete nullity. It is an illegality. It is unconstitutional. And so we cannot build anything on nothing. There's absolutely nothing to build on an illegality, a nullity. That is my position.
Well, again, that is a very, very clear point there. But again, the National Assembly is saying it is a representative of the entire nation, including Rivers State. Is that a valid point?
I don't think that is a valid point. Yes, the National Assembly is a representation of the entire country, and we even have some representatives right there at the National Assembly. But the issue here specifically is the legality of the action taken by the president.
Tell us, which particular action do you think the president has gone? Is it the nomination of names? And again, why do you think the nomination of names is an illegality?
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
It is an illegality because the very act of imposing a state of emergency is an illegality.
But again, I think we've gone past that when we begin to talk about the state of emergency, because again, Supreme Court judgment has told you that ab initio there is no governance in River State. So we've gone past that. We have a state of emergency and we have a sole administrator. But again, we're just looking at recent happenings, nomination of names into these critical positions.
Now, who are those
presentation of budgets for River State and to be discussed? And we're looking at the young people, which obedient movement claim to be representing. How are you people feeling this? Again, is it a normal norm? I'm asking you because you've been in politics for a very long time. Is this something that can be condoned in an atmosphere that we find ourselves?
Shegun, this is an aberration. You will agree with me. You're asking for an appointment that was made by a man who does not have the mandate of the people. And those appointments are not made drawing from the approval of the people. And so I believe the outcome of such appointment will not serve the interest of the people. Yes, the Supreme Court has said what they have to say. Yes, the National Assembly has been part of this whole development. Yes, but the truth stands that these positions, these decisions are not flowing from the people, and it is not serving the interest of the people. And of course, that's why the whole thing has been embroiled with a lot of controversies. A lot of protests have followed through on this same development nationwide in the state as well. So that is really my position.
Well, again, I would like to come to Barrister here. Now, Barrister, I'll quickly come to you because you see, we've heard from Mr. Somiari-Durego saying that what is going on is an aberration, is illegal. But again, looking at the Constitution and the empowerment of the National Assembly, then the Constitution, Section 11(4) of the 1999 Constitution allows the National Assembly to make laws for a state if that state House of Assembly is unable to perform its function due to breakdown of law and order. So again, in that light, would we have said what the National Assembly has done in interviewing nominees for RESEC, for River State Primary Healthcare Board, for the River State Local Government Commission, and also listening to the budget defense of River State is illegality, given the fact of what the Constitution says? You're a lawyer.
Okay, first of all, I would like us to build a constitutional background to everything that has happened in River State. Now, Nigeria is a federal state. A federal state, I mean, the Constitution by itself decided to divide the legislative powers of Nigeria between the state, the federal government, the state, and basically the local government. And there's an extent to which the National Assembly can legislate for the entire country.
So what is I'm very sorry. What is the line? What is the line? When you say there is an extent, what is the line?
Now, the basically, if you look at the Constitution has the exclusive legislative list, it has a concurrent list, and then the residual list that is not actually contained in the Constitution. Now, the Constitution is very clear that no part of Nigeria shall be governed except in the manner and mode provided for by the Constitution. Now, from Section 1 to Section 320 of the Constitution, there's nowhere there's a mention of sole administrator. If you refer to the judgment of the Supreme Court has been consistent, especially with respect to administration of local government, that a local government cannot be administered except through democratically elected local government chairman or the local government councilors council. Now, if you stretch that, it can go to say that by extension, a state cannot as well be administered except by a democratically elected governor and a democratically elected state House of Assembly. If you condone what has happened in Rivers State, in a way, you'll be nullifying the judgment of the Supreme Court, because governors can as well declare a state of emergency in a particular local government and appoint a sole administrator. Whereas the National Assembly has powers to legislate for the entire country, but there is an extent. The extent is that the State House of Assembly of every state has the right to make appropriation laws for the particular state. Now, if you look at Section 305, that gives the president the powers to declare a state of emergency in a state, the contemplation, if you read it very well, is that that particular part of the country is maybe under a threat of war, or it is impossible for there to be democratic governance in that particular part of the country. So what the president has is the powers to use the armed forces to bring normalcy in that part of the country, for example, Rivers State. But there is nothing in Section 305 that gives the president the express powers to suspend a democratically elected governor or a democratically elected House of Assembly.
Well, you see, your point of focus, yes, you want to conclude on that. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Now, with respect to Rivers State, the issues in Rivers State, there are decisions of the Supreme Court with respect to the status of members of the House of Assembly, with respect to the status of the governor. The president's responsibility was to ensure that the judgments of the Supreme Court were enforced. Now, he leveraged on his own failure to ensure that the pronouncements of the Supreme Court were enforced to ensure democratic governance in Rivers State. He leveraged on his failure to declare a state of emergency to do an act that is an illegality. It is his responsibility to have enforced that judgment. In enforcing that judgment would have meant the proper administration of Rivers State through a properly elected governor and a proper administration of the State House of Assembly. If there are issues in Rivers State that the State House of Assembly, for example, maybe feels that the governor has contravened any provision of the Constitution, the Constitution is very clear on the steps that the State House of Assembly could take. The Constitution is also very clear on the steps that the governor could have taken. Now, if the people feels that, like the situation in Rivers State where the governor said he has attempted to present the appropriation bill before the assembly.
Well, again, I like the foundation you're coming to, and I love the foundation. But again, just like I said to Mr. Somiari, these are issues that we've gone beyond.
Yes.
We're looking at the doctrine of necessity and everything that has happened so far. And if I would just go through it, some of the things that I said, the approval of the consideration of oversight on 2025 River State budget, which the National Assembly is oversighting upon. Now, there's a submission of 1.48 trillion 2025 River State appropriation bill directly to the National Assembly. And again, there's a total breakdown of that, which we don't want to go to. Also, there's increase and defense of the budget by the sole administrator before the National Assembly, the formation of Joint Ad Hoc Committee on Oversight, and also several other committees. So we're asking that under the rule of doctrine of necessity. Is it strange to the obedient movement? And but again, I love the legal precedent you're saying, and also have told you that it is also within the powers of the president to take some of these actions he's taking. Am I correct?
it is, I have said it before, it is not within the powers of the president to suspend democratic institutions.
We're not talking about suspension of democratic institutions because we're already here in an emergency rule.
Yes.
Yes.
Now you everything must stand on something.
Okay.
So all of the events that you've listed, they are not standing on anything.
So for you, you can't build something on nothing.
No, you cannot.
So you think ab initio, the suspension of democratic institution was wrong.
Yes.
Therefore, the presentation of the budget to the National Assembly couldn't have been right.
Yes, it's unconstitutional.
The nomination of names couldn't have been right.
It's unconstitutional.
The appointment of a RESEC chairman or the nomination of a RESEC chairman couldn't have been right.
It's unconstitutional.
But this is where we find ourselves. So what is Obedient Movement doing about all of this?
So that is why we are here. Part of what we are doing is people's engagement so that Rivers people will be aware of the events that are happening in their state, to bring to their awareness that everything that they are seeing and everything that they are hearing, they are illegal. And we expect the people to take citizen actions. They should speak up.
All right, fantastic. Let me come to, I'll come back to you now. And the point is very, very clear. So you have it there. And that was Nadum Nso Obulo, who's a legal practitioner and director, Contact and Mobilization Obedient Movement, River State. And his view is very, very clear. If it's ab initio, having a state of emergency in River State is illegal. So every other thing, including the presentation of the budget to the National Assembly, is illegal. Including the nomination of names for some public offices is illegal. And he also feels that even the planned conduct of local government election is illegal. So I'm asking, what is Obedient Movement doing? And I'm going to be asking Gogo Wellington, who is the Secretary General, Obedient Movement, River State. So again, are you also of the view that everything is illegal? And as a result of that, don't forget, in 2023, young people marched for change in Nigeria. So the question we're asking are these young people back on the sideline? What exactly are they doing?
Okay, the truth is, ever since we were ambushed with the declaration of this state of emergency in River State, we have continued to see a continuous slap on the face of Rivers people with the actions and inactions of the Bola Tinubu-led administration. Now, why do I say so? The executive has continuously perpetrated this act or these acts of injustice against Rivers people by not only causing the injury, but now adding salt to injury by taking some of these actions that we consider very, very inappropriate. Things like going ahead to draft a budget, or what would I call it? the forcefully appointed sole administrator going ahead to draft a budget for Rivers people when he doesn't know.
When you use the adjective forcefully appointed, I will not agree with that. Okay. There is a sole administrator, and the sole administrator was appointed by the president, gazetted by the National Assembly with the approval. Well, I don't understand what you mean by not duly.
There are processes that are supposed to
tell us about these processes.
Tell us about the state of emergency, right?
Well, we don't want to go back to that.
The Senate was supposed to have a session that would see to every senator or the National Assembly, not just the Senate, House of Reps, Senate, are supposed to have a session where every senator and House of Reps member will vote, and those votes would lead to the count that will lead to the declaration of the state of emergency. But what we saw was a voice vote declaration, which went contrary to the constitutional provisions. So when you now say a state of emergency was declared, it was not duly declared, but we know the executive rascality that led to all of this. That's why we're premising this as a forcefully imposed state of emergency. Now, going further to say that someone that is not from Rivers State, that was brought here as a sole administrator unconstitutionally, should now go ahead to draft a constitution for Rivers people and further take it to a National Assembly that is not familiar with the terrain of Rivers State, that doesn't know the needs.
Well, I don't know what you mean by saying the National Assembly is not familiar with the terrain of Rivers State, because we have representatives from Rivers State representing the people in the National Assembly.
Their
and we
constituencies.
also have the House of Assembly Committee on Oversight.
The budget
every one person in
the
River
budget
State is
for
represented
every
in the
space,
National
the
Assembly.
23 local governments of River State,
And you
and
agree
not
with
for
me?
a particular or House of Reps constituency,
Well, you
or
agree
House
with
of
me?
or senatorial constituency.
But again, you will agree with me that every of the 23 local government area in River State has a representative in the National Assembly, either in the Senate or in the House of
But
Representatives.
they are not all in that committee. But even if they were, all I'm saying is these things that are going on are illegal and unconstitutional, and we have to keep speaking to it. We have been very vocal on these issues because the truth is, when injustice prevails, now the people don't have any choice but to keep speaking up about it, because we cannot take laws into our hands. The only thing we can do is to keep raising our voices and saying that these things are illegal and unconstitutional. They went further, another step, by also constituting a RISEC body, right? While, remember, there is already an existing RISEC body that was duly constituted, right? And their tenure has not elapsed. What the sole administrator did was to suspend the already appointed or appointed RISEC or constituted RISEC, and they were not dissolved, mind you. They were not dissolved. They were just suspended because the sole administrator does not have the right to dissolve what was appointed by a constitutionally elected
We're going to
governor.
fact check you. We will fact check you if there was no right to dissolve the RISEC, again, because you say these are subject to the laws. And I think the National Assembly also know, for National Assembly to sit to consider new members of the River State Independent Electoral Commission, they also need to have an understanding. However, in all of this, we know the movement, the obedient movement, to be a group that is youth-driven, youth-focused. Do you think young people in River State are disillusioned by what is happening?
We are completely disappointed, right? With
I'm
all
not talking
these
about
happenings.
disappointment. I'm saying, are you disillusioned?
First of all, we are not disillusioned. We know where we're going. We know what we're doing. We are not the ones that have continuously disobeyed or carried out acts that are alien to our constitution, right? But we know what we're doing. We will continue engaging these issues and engaging the actors or the political actors, be they the National Assembly, be they the President of the Federal Republic, and whoever it is that is also engaged in the act of what would I call it, compromising the state or status of our democracy, which is supposed to be a representative democracy, which pushes the element of social contract, which is supposed to take care of the people, which is supposed to ensure that the rights and liberties of our people are respected. In this case, the people of Rivers State are completely being insulted. Our intelligence is insulted by these acts by the National Assembly, by this act by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Rivers State is a subset of the federation called Nigeria.
Yeah, fantastic. You're listening to Point Blank, coming to you from Super 93.3 FM Ph. In the last couple of days, the National Assembly has presided over some critical issues concerning River State approve the consideration and oversight of the 2025 budget, where we gathered that the budget has now been increased and there's a total breakdown, and the sole administrator made a defense of the budget, which is now at 1.846 trillion naira, which is before the National Assembly. The formation of an ad hoc committee on oversight concerning River State, and also the nomination of names to man some very critical position like the River State Independent Electoral Commission, the River State Healthcare Board, and also the Local Government Service Commission. And we're asking the question this morning, who is speaking for River State? And we are speaking to members of the obedient movement in River State. I have with me in the studio a former governorship candidate for River State in 2003 general election with late Chief Gani Fahimi as presidential candidate. He's a member of the People's Democratic Party, and he contested the Senate on PDP in 2010 general election. 2019, yes. He contested for the Senate on the platform of the PDP in 2019 general elections. A member of the State Advisory Council of the Obedient Movement. Dorego Somiari is with us in the studio. And also with us in the studio, Gogo Wellington. Gogo Wellington is the Secretary General, Obedient Movement, River State. Nandum Nson Obula is a lawyer and the Director, Contact and Mobilization, Obedient Movement, River State. And we're asking them the big question. Obedient Movement is known to be speaking for young people. And Obedient Movement is known to always speak truth to power. And we're asking, is Obedient Movement disillusioned by what is currently happening? And what is Obedient Movement doing? Now, from Gogo Wellington, he said they will continue to speak and they will continue to speak to stakeholders. Quickly, we'll throw open the telephone lines. 070-5079-1021, 081-174-31021, 070-733-50623, Female callers only, 070-733-502-623. So the question we're asking, who is speaking for River State, following the steps taken so far by the National Assembly? Is this a representation of the people, or this is necessary given where we find ourselves? I'm just going to take the first 3 calls and we'll come back to the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Segun.
Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Point Blank.
Yeah, good morning to the V movement.
Thank you.
My name is Comrade Letambari Sunday.
Comrade Letambari Sunday, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yes, on this very discussion, I think that your guests have not been sincere to Rivers people. And the decision made by the president was a very significant step taken to avert or to avoid problems in Rivers State. If you can see from the statement of the Supreme Court saying that Rivers State has no governance, if I should follow that statement by the Supreme Court, it proves that the existence of the governor were nowhere in Rivers State. That is to say, he should have been, been removed by that statement. But the president made it in a way that it will not look harmful to the both parties. This was an executive fight, rigged, and it was not a colonial or community fight or tribal war. It was an executive war or rigged. And so the best option for that was to sustain the both parties. And with that, put in a body that can take care of the situation until the appropriate time when the National Assembly will come together and then the move forward. That was why you see all the procedure was being followed. And why is your young man there, disagreeing with the process which the president has used? And I want to tell him that no matter this politics we are playing, when it favors you, the court, the government will be right. When it does not favor you, the government will be bad. The court will not do the right thing, will not represent the interests of the people. And so that is the way they've been seeing it. And so the president are taking the right steps to ensure that peace returns in Rivers State. So they are coming up to discredit.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Letambari Sunday. I think you've made your point. So thank you so much. So you feel the Obedient Movement is not a very sincere group, and that's your thinking. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Muriel.
Muriel, good morning.
Well, it is unfortunate that so many voices are speaking in Rivers State. Some are for and some are against. But I want to encourage Rivers people that the voices that are speaking for Rivers State are much more the voice of the people, the ordinary people. We are much, much more than the voices that are speaking against the progress of Rivers State. And unfortunately, the voices that are speaking, that are not speaking in favor of Rivers State and for Rivers people, they are the top, the leaders. Yeah, those of them that are in the National Assembly. Yeah, they are coined. They are coined. When you listen to them, you know that their voices are tilted towards favoring one particular person. But we know that the voice of the majority is the voice of God. So God will surely prevail. God stands them as much as we are much, much more than them. We should still speak. We should continue to speak. We, the people, ordinary people in the street, shouting, crying out every day, we should continue to speak. Our voices are much more stronger than their voice. Our voices will overshadow their voices one day. So we should not relent. We may think they are wielding the force, they are wielding the arms of power. They are up there. Trust me, they are just humans. One, just in different places. And we are much more. Our voices will overshadow their voices in just a little time. We will prevail.
Thank you so much,
Will
Miriam.
prevail.
Thank you so much.
sir.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You're listening to Point Blank this Saturday, and we're turning our attention to recent moves by the National Assembly. Recently, we've seen the River State budget presented to the National Assembly in a manner that has sparked conversation about constitutional procedure and political process. We've also witnessed President Bola Tinubu forward names to the Senate for key positions in the state, raising important questions about consultations, representation, and federal-state relation. Also added to this is a plan to conduct local government election, even as the question persists about legality and readiness of the current political structure to support such a process. And of course, there is the much talked about reconciliation between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, former Governor of River State, Nyesom Wike, a move that has been welcomed by some and cautiously observed by others. And we're asking the question, Obedient Movement is one group that was known in Nigeria in 2023 to have shook the foundation of the nation. But this time around, they seems to be on the sideline, watching on the sideline. And I'm asking members of the Obedient Movement in the studio this morning, what is the position of Obedient Movements? Are they disillusioned? Are the young people disillusioned? And I'm speaking this morning to members of the Obedient Movement. I have member of the State Advisory Council, Obedient Movement, Mr. Derego Somiari. I also have in the studio this morning the Director, Contact and Mobilization, Obedient Movement, River State, Nadum Uso Obula, was a legal practitioner, and Gogo Wellington, Secretary General, Obedient Movement for River State. Gentlemen, I know you've been saying, I want to talk. No, you will talk. All of you will talk. Don't worry. You will talk. But, okay, let me come to Gogo Wellington. So, Gogo Wellington, there is a plan to conduct local government election. Will the Obedient Movement encourage participation or boycotts? And again, if you participate, good for democracy, because that's what Obedient Movement stands for. If you boycott, do you think it will help democracy?
All right, Shengo, I want to emphasize that we stand on the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And any act that is alien to our Constitution and is deemed unconstitutional, the Obedient Movement will never back it. Now, our statements here, if properly listened to, have been keenly speaking on the issues pertaining to the unconstitutionality of the actions of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the appointed sole administrator. You know, in Rivers State, we like to play politics with everything. You see people that like to claim they are for and those that are against. We're not here to speak on behalf of anybody. We are just saying that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should be respected. There shouldn't be special cases like Rivers State where the Constitution will be suspended and the president will just take actions that are alien to our Constitution. I listened to the press release by the members of the National Assembly Caucus of Rivers State after the statement from Seraki Dixon after the joint session after Democracy Day. And I would say I was utterly disappointed, because when you hear them speak, you know there was no depth to what they were saying, because they do not represent the Rivers State people. Why do I say they do not represent the Rivers State people? Go back to the elections of 2023. You would see that 90 to 95% of those that were there did not score actual votes. Their results were written, and that's how they got there.
That's an
and their
allegation.
actions
That's
and statements that they
hold
made on that
Wellington,
day
you
was
hold on.
representative
when
of
you say
such
they did not
practice.
score actual votes, I would like to ask you, how do you know they
We
did not
have
score actual votes?
original votes from the election which we took to the tribunal. Although justice was not served, but we know these things and we know the truth. So when they go there to serve their paymasters, we know who they are serving, and we know that they are not serving the Rivers people. That's why they can put themselves together and keep speaking against the interests of Rivers people and against the future of Rivers State. And they should know that power is transient. Tomorrow they may not be there, and they might be the victims. So they should also prepare themselves to keep organizing press conferences to support a certain person against the Constitution of Nigeria.
Let us be honest with ourselves. Is the Obedient Movement itself offering bold alternative, or just acting out of frustration? Because you have just said hold on. Okay. You have just said in the studio that you are not in support of anybody. So if I hear you correctly, this is what I hear you say. You're not in support of a Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. You're not even in support of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. So again, are you offering bold alternative, or you're just frustrated?
If you follow recent happenings, you would know.
And I also want Mr. Somiari to speak on that as well.
You would see that there have been persistent or consistent actions from both the obedient movement and other opposition elements to form what we call the coalition. And these discussions are in advanced stages. What we're trying to do is provide as a viable alternative.
What is this alternative? Because you see, but what we just seen obedient movement is that you're just becoming one of the voice and the voices. And again, we fear that you might just become a pawn in the chess game.
We are not alone in this, right? The obedient movement is the populist movement, right? And we hold a large stake amongst the Nigerians that are actually frustrated with the activities of the current administration. But we also take into cognizance the fact that there are also other stakeholders within this space, which is why we are planning, or we're talking towards coming together to form a single front, a common front that will remove this current administration that has promoted unconstitutionality and actually be put in a government that is representative of the Nigerian people and work for the interests of the Nigerian people.
Anyway, we will come to that on a broader level. We'll come to that, and the issue of OB and obedient movement will come to that. But again, I'm going to speak to either Mr. Somiari and also to Barrister Obulo here. We saw obedient movement in 2023, and a lot of young people moved with obedient movement in 2023. But what I hear you say at this moment, you are neither in support of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory nor for Governor. I'm beginning to think that obedient movement in Rivers State is becoming too quiet, or is it that you are just too careful? Am I correct?
No, I think you're not correct. I beg your pardon. And I need to correct the notion here that the obedient movement, which is largely made up of youths, are simply watching from the sideline. I think I do not agree with that. The obedient movement, which is largely constituted by the youths, both in Rivers State and nationally, are a vibrant group of individuals ready to make a difference in our polity. And if you look at our slogan, a new Nigeria is possible, that vision is driven almost exclusively by the youths. And so I need you to correct that notion. The obedient movement is very vibrant, very energetic, and we are determined to make a move, to bring about a positive change in this country. Now, let me address an issue which you have been, hammering on. And I think you are dragging us into, a position where we will eventually accept an illegality. And I think that will be very wrong. We will not be serving this nation well, we will not be serving this state well if we follow that narrative. I want to make one thing clear, that we cannot, as we are here presently, seated, even as a group, as an organization, legitimize what has happened in Rivers State. You are asking us now, yes, the state of emergency, is in place. The National Assembly now has a constitutional right, to look into the issues that borders on Rivers State. I find it personally very difficult, to legitimize or make comment over an issue that is an illegality. I'll just simply be lending some credence to the whole comments they're making. I find it absolutely difficult. If it were something that was legal, I'll be able to come up with my own thoughts and opinion on this issue. But as it stands today, the very, 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 very first issue that, gave rise to all of these developments, which is the state of emergency, is a nullity. It has no place in our law. It is not known to our constitution. If you have to make that, we are trying to make that statement as a basis for which we can discuss anything else. If that foundation is understood, then whatever follows will of course be negative, because you cannot, like you rightly mentioned, like we have all agreed here, you can't build something on nothing. And so I want this position to be clear as representing the opinion of the obedient movement here in Rivers State, that we do not accept the illegality that has culminated into the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State, and then what follows from it, which is this issue of National Assembly looking into what the affairs of Rivers State. It is not right. It is a nullity. And so if you now ask me to comment on what they are doing, I'm simply saying, yes, what they are doing is right. And I'm not here to say that. I need you to understand that. So if you understand our position that collectively as seated here, we do not accept, neither recognize the state of emergency in Rivers State and all that flowed from it. That is our position.
Well, fantastic position you have there. But again, you have also said that the obedient movement is the voice of young people who stood together in 2023, who supported the obedient movement and shook the foundation of the nation. Again, some of these young people, multiple youth organizations in River State, have urged political leaders to set aside their personal interest and work together for the benefit of the state. They also warned that continued division would only sacrifice the dream and future of the next generation. So, as members of obedient movement, are you in support of this? Now look, it was time that all the leaders, political leaders, set aside personal differences and work together for the benefit of the state, and that if we continue to toe the path we are towing, we're sacrificing the future of the, or you're sticking to the fact that look, everything is illegality and illegality cannot.
Let me quickly respond.
Let me just sorry there. The president was offered an opportunity during the Democracy Day, which was June 12, to reverse this lingering problem that is tearing the state apart, frustrating, development in this state. I must tell you, there was nothing wrong with River State before the state of emergency.
You think so?
Yes.
Perhaps I need to go back to the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court listed several things that was wrong with River State before the declaration of a state of emergency. And this is not my personal opinion anyway. This is according to the judges of the Supreme Court. Because judges of the Supreme Court were very, very clear when they said there was no governance in River State. Judges of Supreme Court also said there is a total collapse of democracy in River State. So when you say there was nothing wrong,
if that decision had been arrived on, a plebiscite, or maybe, to seek the opinion of Rivers people, that is to conduct an election to determine if there's problem in Rivers State. I will tell you, Rivers people will tell you there's no problem. The issue was about two individuals, and they probably have some issues on the terms.
Well, that's what you think. This is a personal thinking now. But again, we're looking at the structures.
The Supreme Court judgment was simply determined by the opinion of some individuals. It was not, the position of the collective interest of Rivers people. I must tell you that. And so when you make reference to the Supreme Court as a basis to legitimize this whole development, and then you are taking us on a very wrong track. And that will deviate from our own collective position here as an obedient movement. And that is what is our position, that everything that stems from illegality is a nullity. And so the Supreme Court, probably has an opinion based on individual opinions, fine. But what really resulted in the state of emergency has no basis. I'm telling you, I'm a resident in River State. I am a stakeholder in PDP. There was relative peace in River State. The issue I must emphasize was
Mr. Sumiari, I appreciate your facts, and we'll come to the telephone line. But again, I just quickly do the fact check. Here is a summary of President Bola Tinubu's speech during the state of emergency in River State, and this is what the president said, and I'm going to read it to you. President Bola Tinubu announced the state of emergency in River State due to protracted political crisis and escalating security challenges, including pipeline vandalism and militant threat, which the state government had failed to contain. He noted that the governor, deputy governor, and the House of Assembly had been unable to work together for space for peace and good governance, with the House of Assembly complex having been demolished over 18 months prior without construction. The president expressed that no responsive leader could stand by while such a grave situation persisted, and although the governor and deputy governor had not formally requested intervention, as requested by Section 3055 of the 1999 Constitution, you find it necessary to invoke Section 305 to declare the state of emergency effective immediately. Well, again, I'm just giving you the summary. So if you're saying that there was no situation warranting it, that was the speech of President Bola Tinubu. I just read the summary of that speech to you. What do you have to say to that?
Let me state clearly the position of the obedient movement. We are on the side of the law. So
No. I want you to come back there. Before you go back there, of course, obedient movement have said that, look, anything that is not legal, you will not support it.
Yes.
And of course, if I get it correctly, obedient movement also said it's not in support of A nor B, but it is support of what is legal.
Yes.
But again, Mr. Sumiari was saying here that there was no basis. And I'm giving you the basis in the speech of the president. This is what the president said in his speech when he declared the state of emergency.
Those facts, or the things stated in the speech of the president as the basis for declaring the state of emergency in Rivers State, are they in compliance with the circumstances contemplated by.
Well, again,
the
that's not going to be
Constitution.
my question. My question to you is that were they real? Because he was saying there was nothing. The president said there was escalating security challenges, including pipeline vandalism. And these were in the news. The president also said there was a threat by militants, which the state governor has failed to contain. He also noted that the governor and the deputy governor of the state, the deputy, have failed to work together with the House of Assembly. It talks about the destruction of the House of Assembly for 8 months. Those were the things that the president. So the question we're asking is: are these facts? Are these structures true? Are these argument logic by the president? Again, because you're taking us back, and I just want you to come back here now.
Are these facts supported by law? That's the question that we have to answer. It is not a question of the things that the president makes up in his mind, because the Constitution gave the
Made up in his mind?
Yes,
but these are.
If you read, if you read the Constitution, especially Section 11, the National Assembly can only take over the legislative powers of a state assembly if that state assembly is unable to meet. Now, if we are to rely by the decision of the Supreme Court, it's a fact that the Martins Amehule-led assembly were meeting. Can you, Shegun, tell us that there was a time in Rivers State when that particular assembly was unable to meet? Can you tell me that there was a time in Rivers State when that particular assembly, they were unable to meet to exercise legislative powers donated to them by the Constitution? So we are not on the side of A or B. What we are saying is that the circumstances and the situation contemplated by the Constitution for the National Assembly to take over the legislative powers of the Rivers State House of Assembly were not in existence. Because if the president has alleged that there was pipeline vandalism, threats by militants, over 200 persons have been killed in Benue State. If the president alleged that the state assembly and the governor were unable to work together, that is a political disagreement. And the Constitution has a procedure for dealing with that.
Well, fantastic.
So, just hold on, let me finish. The reason we are insisting on rule of law is this. If Nigeria were to be a country governed by law, the Labour Party, backed by the obedient movement, would have formed the government in this country and in its state. So we are not for A or B, but we are for the law. Because we believe that if we implement the laws in Nigeria, by 2027, we will form the government in this state.
Right,
and will govern according to law. So whatever circumstance or situation that you are making reference to, you must bring it in line with the provisions of the Constitution.
Well, I'm speaking to members of the obedient movement in River State. I have in the studio here this morning member of the State Advisory Council, Obedient Movement, Darego Somiari, who was a former governorship candidate in River State in 2003 and also contested for Senate in 2019. I also have Gogo Wellington. Gogo Wellington is the Secretary General, Obedient Movement, River State. Nandum Nso Obulo is a legal practitioner and Director, Contact and Mobilization, Obedient Movement, River State. And the point is very, very clear. In the case of River State, they are neither for A nor B, but they are for the right thing in the law to be done. But a question I'm asking, Obedient Movement, is it a third force or a political spare tire? Again, why are they on the sideline? Stay with us. We'll take more calls. And 07050791021, 08117431021, and 07073350623. Point blank, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Shegun.
Good morning.
Yeah, I greet your guest also. My name is Chimadike. I'm coming from Mukuta.
Chimadike, good morning.
At this point in time, I won't want us to see the marrowing in things that we know that are factual. We know that River State have been facing in exchange the inception of Simla Kubana as a governor. Now, if we want to look at this as I to be, not only that who has the right.
Chimadike.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Chimadike. Yes, we do.
Is the judiciary made an announcement, a proclamation that allocation should not be given to River State because of the fact that there is no presence of governance as in democratically in River State. Let us keep that one aside. What then happen if there is no allocation? There will be no salary. If there is no salary, what will happen?
Well,
The
again,
workers will stop
Chimedike,
work.
I appreciate your contribution, but I think your contribution is taking us way back and is out of what we are talking about. We're looking at the current situation in River State. We have a budget presented to the National Assembly. We have names presented for some public offices, and also there's the planned conduct of local government election. And we're asking Obedient Movement, who claim to be a very powerful voice for young people, what they're thinking is on this. Let's take this call. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Madam Doctor.
Madam Doctor, good morning.
Yes, sir. I want to quickly say that for me as a business woman, all that went on in this state, I witnessed it all. And so far, that the assembly complex was brought down and nobody came to the station to say what happened was bad. That local government chairman allocation was taken away, seized by the elected local government chairman that was supposed to receive the allocation did not get. Nobody gathered to come to the studio. That all the things that happened there that the Supreme Court said, we all witnessed it here all. And nobody came and said that was not good. And today, the sole administrator is doing his job. They have brought people that will conduct election. They have appointed people in the local government and they are managing it. And I will go against it. I said no. I want to say that the sole administrator should be allowed to do his work. All the people they have appointed should come and do their job. That this state will be like other states. That's my opinion.
Right. Madam
Doctor,
Doctor, thank you so much, and we quite appreciate that. Let's take this one. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
93.3.
Thank you. Yes, this is 93.3.
I am Mr. Justice Darinelita.
Mr. Justice, where are you calling from? From where,
I'm calling
Karabori?
from
Thank you.
Uyakarabori.
Good.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, greeting to your guest in the studio.
Thank you.
My
morning, Mr. Justice.
question is this. I just recently, I was made to know in the vehicle where I was traveling with some proof of friends. They asked that, what is the need going to court against this decision of the president? The president, when he was in Nadeco, he was using other protest means to get what he wants. Now, court said allocation should not be given to an unelected officer, but allocations are given to caretaker committee, sole administrators currently. You go to court against appointment of committees for research and the rest. What hope do you have in the court? As long as the court is answerable to the presidency for now. So I will be of the opinion that this group should devise other means outside going to court that will be functional and work for them.
Thank you so much. Your position is very, very clear. There's no need going to court to challenge what is going on because you think it will lose. Let's take a final call here. Hello, good morning. Yes, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Shegun and your guest.
Thank you.
Good morning, madam.
Yeah, this is Madam Govin calling from Eleme.
Madam Govin, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
I know Nigerian doesn't like truth. Anything.
No, that's Madam Govin. Let us stop. Nigerians like truth. Say your truth.
Not all. Because what your guest is saying in the studio, nothing but the truth. But those people that are supporting evil, they will never accept it. Okay, come to it. We are talking about House of Assembly 27 lawmaker that defected to APC.
Well, Madam Govina, this is your thinking. You said they defected. You think they defected. They said they have not defected.
They defected.
You think so?
Nigeria, that's story.
You think so? Madam Govina, you think
Yes.
so? But again, it's not something we want to go to. But again, just...
The judiciary they are no longer a judiciary again. Because
again, the judiciary is still judiciary, Madam Govina. But you say what you think.
Are they doing the right thing?
Well, what is right and what is wrong is subjective. It depends on your interpretation. Anyway, well, thank you so much, Madam Govina. I think you've made your point very, very clear, and your point is what you support what the guests in the studio are saying. You're listening to Point Blank, and we're having a talk with members of the Obedient Movement, and I'm asking, Obedient Movement, are they really the voice they claim to be, or they have become a political spare tire? Given their silence and quietness in River State, and we'll be asking them what they think about situation in River State. Now, we have a couple of messages coming in on our social media. Constance is just going to take us through some of these messages, and I will come back having more talk with members of the Obedient Movement. We just have about 5 minutes more. Constance, let's have the messages.
Okay. Daniel Barine, let's thank the president for destroying the democratic process of Rivers just to favor his minister. People are getting slaughtered in hundreds in Benue and other northern states, yet the president has not declared state of emergency over there. Is it because Benue doesn't have oil? Okay, Wago Noah Lesaro. Good morning, Pastor Shego, and your guest in the studio. Shego, you see what's my fears of for the position of the RISAC by Rivers Sole Administrator under the watch of the National Assembly is that by the processed local government election, most or all the LGAs might be chaired by non-indigens. After all, the Rivers Sole Administrator is a non-indigene who has brought in strangers into the affairs of the state. This will equal move to the LGAs. I'm sure that in the coming days, strangers will sit as local government chairman.
Well, thank you so much for all of those comments coming in on the social media, and thank you so much, Constance, for reading us, for taking us through those messages. Again, I want to thank my guests in the studio, members of the Obedient Movement in River State, and I have in the studio Gogo Wellington, who is the Secretary General Obedient Movement in River State. Nadum Nsombula was a lawyer and Director Content Mobilization Obedient Movement, River State, and also we have Mr. Somiari here, who is a member of the State Advisory Council. A lot of Obedient Movement people in the studio. But again, Obedient Movement, you have told us in the studio that you are the voice of young Nigerians. You are the voice of new Nigerians. Can you also be the spine of New River State?
Okay, Shegun. I want to draw a little historical perspective to what we're saying.
Yeah.
You know, historically, there will always be those that would play sycophants, you know, in every political construct. We remember when IBB was ruling, there were people that were singing praises of the military administration. Mm-hmm. When Abacha's dictatorial regime was ongoing, we know people here in River State that conducted marches and called Abacha to transform himself into a democratic president and continue his leadership. So there will always be people that put their personal interest first before that of the people. Now we have a situation in River State where we were ambushed by a state of emergency, a very unnecessary declaration of a state of emergency to resolve a political issue that would have been resolved by just calling certain parties within this issue to order and for them to exercise some restraint, right? We have a situation where someone that is not from River State, this is the first of its kind under any democratic dispensation in Nigeria, where a sole administrator is appointed. Someone from Cross River State is appointed in River State to administer over the affairs of Rivers people. And now we have another person from Cross River State nominated to head the Electoral Commission, the independent, supposedly independent Electoral Commission of River State. And there are Rivers people that are calling to say it is okay. Well, the truth is that there will always be people that will be sycophants. But for us, the Obedient Movement in River State, for us, Rivers people that will always stand by the truth, whatever is going on is an illegality, and we will not support it. It is unconstitutional, and we will keep saying this. And again, Shegun, you've been saying that the Obedient Movement has been rather quiet in River State. The truth is that we have not been quiet. At least your station can bear us witness, because we have been here on several fora, we've been on your news bulletins and all of that. So we in the Obedient Movement in River State, we remain the voice of the Rivers people, and we will always speak truth to power, that whatever is going on in River State by this declaration of self-emergency and everything that has come out of it is illegal and unconstitutional, and we do not support it.
All right, fantastic. I'm going to ask Mr. Dorego Somiari your final take on this matter. But again, I want to correct a lot of things because, well, anyway, go ahead. I will come to what some of the things Gogo Wellington said. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you can tell from the trend of our, opinion here as a group representing the Obedient Movement. We are very consistent as the truth. We do not have any divided opinion on what the truth is regarding River State and its affairs. We are very consistent and stable. So now what we need to drive home, like the last speaker, just made mention of, is that we are a representation of just not only the truth, but a representation of a huge mass of people who are tired of the system as it stands today. The system is run on deceit, it's run on illegality. Some of those scholars who, made mention of allowing the sole administrator to carry on with what he's doing. I mean, you could just imagine the trend like the last speaker made mention of. Today we have a sole administrator that is not from Rivers State. Next we have, an electoral, umpire who is also not from Rivers State. And it probably will trickle down to having local government chairmen. Of course, the man will of course serve some interest. The man who is not from River State probably will have some interest to serve using his own people. And then what it means eventually is that River State and its governance will be populated by aliens, people we do not know.
You see, again, you're coming back to what Gogo Wellington is saying, but I need to correct this quickly because I did some fact check, and it is not true. Now, this is the first time non-indigens are appointed sole administrator. During the Nigerian military regime, 1966 to 1999, it was a common practice for military officers to be appointed as administrator of states where they were non-indigent.
But that's
I said in a democratic.
Let me bring you to democratic decision. At the local government level, some states have appointed sole administrator that were non-indigents, especially during period where elected local governments were dissolved. For example, we have the case in Kogi and some southwestern states, sole administrators were appointed. So it's not the first time.
That was the caretaker administration. That LGA.
Yes.
I'm talking about in River State. I cited examples with the appointment of the sole administrator at the state level and the RISEC. I did not even cascade to the LGA because
I'm telling
the
you
issue of
this is
LGA,
not the first time.
Yes, it's the first time
in a democratic.
I said in a democratic dispensation.
Well, in a democratic,
I cited
but this
that.
is not the first time really in Nigeria.
In the state, I'm talking about in a democratic dispensation. So give me the example of when it happened.
Fantastic. Let us go ahead with that. Barrister, are you done with your comment? Because I'm coming to, Barrister Bulo. Yeah.
Yes. So now regarding the obedient movement, the obedient movement believes that whatever that is done should be done according to law, because we believe that the system is against the youth, and this system is against the youth because Nigeria is not being administered according to law. That is why in my earlier speech I said that we are insisting that whether it is A or B, whatever that was done should have been done according to law. And whatever the president eventually did should have been done according to law. Because what we have is a chain of illegality. From elections not conducted according to law, to persons being elected not according to law, and then those persons coming into government to begin to take actions that are contrary to the law, and then the president eventually taking an action that is contrary to the law. So we are insisting, this is the voice of the obedient movement.
That's right.
That Nigeria and Rivers State should be governed according to law. Elections should be conducted and administered according to law, so that the people's true representatives can actually form government. Because if the persons that the people actually elected in 2023 formed the government, the events that led us to this point wouldn't have taken place.
So again, because we're out of time, let me just ask this one last question. Anyone can answer the question, and I just want it to be short because we're out of time. If there was a local government election in River State, will obedient movement participate? Will you mobilize for the local government election?
On the heels of what has happened with the declaration of state of emergency and these actions following, the obedient movement will not be a part of any electoral process that is organized under the state of emergency.
So you will not take part?
We will not take part.
Fantastic. And that will be the final word. Thank you so much. The Obedient Movement, they are in the studio in their large number. And I have Dorego Somiari, who is a member of the State Advisory Council Obedient Movement. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to the studio this morning. Having me. And also, it's my pleasure. And also, thank you so very much, Gogo Wellington, Secretary General, Obedient Movement, River State. Thank you for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
As well as Nandum Nso Obulo, legal practitioner and direct contact and mobilization Obedient Movement, River State. Thank you so much for coming to the studio. And that's it on the first leg of the show. Stay with us. We will deepen this discourse, and we have another gentleman joining us. Prince Favor Ruben, former state chairman, Labour Party, and Labour Party and National Vice Chairman, South Labour Party, and presently the National Chairman, South Democratic Movement. Will be joining us in a matter of moments on Point Blank. Stay with us after the break.
Tired of the spin? Are you ready to hear the hard-hitting truth in a comprehensive, conservative, and principled fashion? Point Blank on Super FM 93.3 brings you all the news you need to know. Real conversations, real news, and one-on-one interviews with some of the most intriguing names in River State, South Nigeria, and the country today. Unbiased analysis the way you wish still existed.
They're damaging the economy of the country. I'm not bothered about whether federal government is supporting us or not. Because if you cannot protect the lives of your people, then there's no governance.
From the news that dominates the headlines to the important topics below the fold, left, right, and center busts the opinion bubbles and echo chambers with genuine discussion and real talk.
Out of $500 million that President Goodluck Jonathan borrowed for Abuja, Kaduna. At the time I was speaking, we were paid over 100 and something million out of the $500 million.
Tune into Point Blank with Shegan Awolabi every Saturdays 8:15 a.m. on Super 93.3 FM. Point Blank, civilized yet provocative.
Exciting news! Super 93.3 FM is now in Oyigbo City. We are thrilled to announce that Super 93.3 FM has expanded to Oyigbo City, sharing the same office with Oyigbo Television at Old Port Harcourt Aba Road, Umundino Junction, Oyigbo Urban upstairs, directly opposite Crunchies Fast Food. Advertise with us. Visit our office today to book jingles, reach your target audience with catchy arts, obituary announcements, honor loved ones with dignity, promote your church events and activities, live appearances, engage with our audience in real time. Contact us for bookings. Call 080-309-76671, 070-607-08692, 080-206-79611. One family, one radio. Super 93.3 FM Oyigbo sales outlet is now open. Join the family and stay connected with your favorite radio station.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. You're still on to Super 93.3 FM Port Harcourt, and we're still looking at the River State in polity, the polity of River State, situation River State at this moment. And what we know is that River State budget has been presented to the National Assembly, and a lot of people are talking about this. This has sparked controversy and conversation, and a lot of people are saying that this has not followed constitutional procedure and political process. We also witnessed President Bola Tinubu forwarding names to the Senate for key positions in the state, and this has also raised questions about consultation, representation, and federal state legislature. In addition to that, the planned conduct of local government election in River State, and the questions still persist on the legality and readiness of the current political structure to support such a process. And of course, there is the much talked about reconciliation between Governor Simnai Fubara and his predecessor, former Governor Nyesom Wike, a move that a lot of people have welcomed, but some cautiously observe it by others. We have joining us in the studio right now to deepen this discourse. We have a former state chairman of the Labour Party, River State, as well as the national vice chairman, South Labour Party, and also presently the national chairman, South Democratic Movement, Prince Ruben Favor. Prince Ruben Favor, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Shegun. Thank you. Listener, thank you.
You are the national chairman of the South Democratic Movement. What is this organization all about?
Very simple. The organization is to work in harmony with all the Souths. We've gone so far. By now, we're in all the states, we're in all the local government of the South, and we are building into all the world. We have extension in Abuja. We have South Democratic Movement in Abuja, where all the South people are there. We have it in Lagos. We have it in US. We have it presently in Canada and in UK. So we are doing everything possible. And the purpose is to make sure we see good governance in South. We want to see that all the company in South comply to the law by getting the indigene to work. We want to see that our representative, House of Assembly, rep, work according to the money they are receiving. And we are going to march out against them. The time where they pick money, collect money, put it in their private pocket and refuse to work with it is over. We want to see that the NDDC the SSDC work according to the money they receive. And that's why we are gathering momentum. We have decided to bring everybody on board, and we are going to march out, and the whole country will know that South is not a place where you are going to march them anymore. We are not going to even allow anybody from South to contest election that you do not have any vision of development. You just go there because one godfather will pick you from wherever you come from and place you, and you know nothing about democracy. You know nothing about the people, and you just do everything by yourself without the people. And that's why this body is born out of people who think that suffering is getting too much in this part of the country. So that's why we came together to put it together.
Well, fantastic vision you have for the South Democratic Movement. Well, great one. Maybe someday we will bring you to studio and we'll be talking about the South Democratic Movement. But right now, let us look at East in the States. Just a while ago, we spoke to members of the Obedient Movement, and they're very emphatic that if there was a local government election in Rivers State today, they will not participate. Do you think that's a correct position, and would you support such a move?
Well, you just say Obedient Movement. Obedient Movement is not a political party.
Who are they?
They are supporters of Obi.
Is Obi not part of Labour Party?
He is an individual. Labour Party is an institution. And an individual cannot detect to an institution. Before Obi came into Labour Party have been existing. Labour Party have been participating in election. So Obedient Movement cannot dictate to Labour Party what Labour Party will do. They don't have the right. They can't speak on behalf of Labour Party. They are not even, most of them are not even Obedient Movement. They are just simplified movement masquerading as Obedient Movement. Because as I met them now, I know only one person. Any Obedient Movement in Rivers State that do not know Prince Favour is not an Obedient Movement. I'm shocked they didn't even know me. When we were fighting in this state, where we are there, apart from the person go anything that I know I brought from what they call Big Ten into Labour Party. Outside that, none of them are there. So these people parading themselves as Obedient Movement, I don't know where they are coming from. They just capitalize on that name, Obedient Movement, and they want to see, because they saw the movement we made. Since we left that thing to them, have you heard of Obedient Movement? Didn't you see that it's already dead in Rivers State? It was people like us that promote it. When we move in this state, the state was shaking because we were there. We are movers. We are the people who make things happen in Obedient or in Labour Party. Since we are not part of what they are doing, the charade that they are parading, that they move, Obedient Movement, nothing is happening.
But
so
again, we saw what happened.
We don't want to care whether they are participating in the election because they are not political party. They are not ESCO of the party. They cannot do anything about it. If the day we say we are participating in election, Obedient Movement, the best thing they will do is to stand. Obedient Movement is not a party. Some of them are PDP, APC, ANPP. So they can say whatever they want to say.
So you are saying if there was a local government election today, Labour Party will participate?
Labour Party, what is the purpose of party? Party is not an association. It's not a town hall people. Purpose of party is to participate in election. If we are not participating in election, which platform will they have come to use? And that's why we are going to participate in the election. Even the last charade that was conducted in Rivers State, that we know that it was not an election, we also participated because we want to register our presence. The most stupid, useless election that I've ever witnessed in my life was the one that was conducted last October, where a professor will reduce himself to nothing by announcing name and party on winner without even bringing one figure. Have you ever seen that kind of thing? But yeah, we participated. That useless election. And most of these people were celebrating that it was an election. At that time, they did not say it was illegal or not because they were benefiting from it. Most of these people shouting illegality is because they felt that they are not going to benefit. I was in this studio shouting that what they want to do is illegal. Some people say, because I know I cannot win, because that it is good. Today, Supreme Court put the record straight that whatever you did was nothing. So, most of them shouting today, we saw in this state where candidates were carrying material to share to their agent. And they call it election. And they celebrated it. We saw it. Somebody will come on air and announce APP win this local government. PDP, no other party that have one figure. It's not a hidden thing. It's that an election, and yet they were celebrating.
All right, so Prince Ruben Fifo, if you say that obedient movement is inconsequential, we know what happened in 2023.
I am telling you, Shegun, those of us that make it happen. I was the campaign director, Peter Dati, South. I was the one that was making South heavy. So none of them can talk to me. None of them. I am a foundation person. I talk as an authority, not just a I was the director campaign South. Peter Dati movement. I was moving from all the states, night and day, to gather people together to make what happen. They are just coming as privileged to see what we have done, to want to leverage on it to be popular. That's what they are doing. They saw what we have done. They want to just leverage on it to be popular. Can they work? You know how many millions we expended?
From what they said here, which is a lot of things they've held to, is that they represent the voice of the young people. So you are saying that
they are just saying it for saying sake. Represent which young people? Which young people? How many conferences have they conducted? How many young people have they gathered together? You just come to studio and lie to people. You represent young people voice. Who young people? I'm telling you that we are the foundation people who bring this thing to work. And I've told you, as a national vice chairman, a campaign director, South, bringing everybody. You know, I organize even dinner, fundraising for Peter Obi in River State, where Obi came in presidential hotel. So nobody can talk about anything about labor or obedient movement in South without Prince Ruben. You are an illegal body, impostor, coming to talk rubbish.
So are you really saying that the obedient movement does not have the same power they arrogate to themselves?
They don't. Shegun, they
just
don't.
on the sideline, they don't even exist.
Today, even the obedient movement have scattered into pieces.
Tell us about what you mean by they've scattered into pieces.
You could remember person like this actor. What's his name?
The lawyer?
Yeah, the lawyer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Obedient. He told the world that he cannot be part of whatever they are doing because Obi is not ready to win election. Some part of Obedient are moved to ARN. Some part are moved to ADC. So they have scattered. The man that is coordinating is the man we brought into Labour Party, Tanko. He failed woefully in his party as a national chairman. And they deregistered that political party. He's the man that is the national coordinator of Obedient. That's why most of them did not follow failure. He was a national chairman of a political party. That is CPC or something. No. Conscience of something party. And they deregistered that party because he failed woefully. He could not deliver a councillor the whole Nigeria.
But again, the opinion movement said they are ready to challenge the old guard.
They can't challenge anything. What power do they? I'm telling you, the congregation of failure are the people that are coming together to pilot the affair of obedient movement. I'm telling you, the national coordinator failed. He could not deliver one councillor in his own party as a national chairman. And you are now making a failure to lead a group that want to win an election. Let me tell you, Shegun.
Yes.
If a goat lead a group of lion against a lion lead a group of goat, you should know that lion with goat will win the man as a goat leading the lion.
Well, fantastic analogy you're giving there, Prince Ruben Fifo. But again, let us come back to the issues. Now, we've seen a lot of things happen. You've seen the presentation of budgets to the National Assembly. We've also seen the nomination of names of critical institutions to the National Assembly. Are you in support of what is being done?
Why? Whether you are supporting what we want the River State to move forward.
So it's inconsequential.
People know how we were shouting. People like us adopted Fubra as our governorship candidate. And we were called names. Because we saw the potential. I met with him severally. And I saw the potential that the man would deliver. And that's why I mobilized the whole structure of Obedient then, the whole support group. About 200 and something support group. I mobilized them, mobilized Labour Party and say, let's support Fubra to become the next governor of the state based on what he said he can do. And he went there. Within 3 months time, he started a fight. And all the people that supported him, let me tell you, to shock the world, all the parties that supported Fubra are no longer party chairman today. They are national removal of them. Fubra never one day in his life, after writing several letters to him, he didn't call any of them. All of them are out of party today because they said we mobilize all the political parties together to support him. And so the problem that started in River State is started by them. They turned River State from a River State to Asawana State. And you were hearing on air people shouting Asawana, 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 Asawana. When we are supporting this man, most of these people came to us and said Fubra is not an Ijaw man. That is an Igbo man. That we should support Toyeko. That is the true Ijaw man. And we refuse. And when the man won election, he overnight became an Ijaw man. And they turned the state into Ijaw nation. If you look at the appointment of Fubra then, mostly are Ijaw. And so all of us that supported the man. But
again, we've gone past all of this.
No, I'm not giving you the background. You are talking of the problem of River State. These are the beginning of the problem. And fight started, and we saw people coming from the creek with gun, shouting that nobody can do anything in this state. We saw it, and nobody said a word. We saw when the governor himself said, "I will give you order when the time comes." We saw it.
Do you have that on fact?
It's not fact. Shegun, you are aware of it. It was on television. It was not a hidden thing when he was doing commissioning. It was there all over the social media. You don't need to ask me whether I have fact or not. Anybody that claims not to know must be an hypocrite. Because it was all over the media that they say, I will leave, I will give you the time when the time comes. And when pipeline were bombing, the governor did not even condemn. Body that did this, we are going to hold them responsible. He kept quiet.
In all of this you've said, I appreciate your point of view, but you need to also remember, bringing us back to the current reality, a budget was sent to the Senate. Who approves it? Who was part of the making of the budget?
We are under state of emergency.
So does it concern you? Does it concern you that a budget that should be part of your spending is sent to the National Assembly without your input?
We are already under. Even I don't know why people are disturbing yourself.
Yeah.
The governor himself came out and said, "I thank Tinubu for giving state of emergency." So why are we crying more than the bereaved? The man said, "Appreciate Tinubu for saving River State." If the governor should say that, why are people crying? Because the governor knows exactly what would have happened in this state. He knew. And that's why he came out and said, Rivers people should appreciate Tinubu for declaring state of emergency. And when the governor have said that, anybody that talk do not have any right to speak. Because the governor have said, nobody should disturb state of emergency. Secondly, the governor said, my spirit have left the government house. Why are you pushing a man that the spirit is no longer in government house? Why do you want to force him to go there? You want him to die? Do you want him to die? So people should stop pushing. That is how they push the young man into trouble. They were telling him, don't worry, we are going to handle this, we are going to do this, we are going to do this. The moment state of emergency were declared, all those men, keep quiet. All of them have disappeared.
All right, we'll come back to you. Listening to Point Blank, coming to you from Super 93.3 FM Port. What we know is that a budget has been sent to the Senate, but we're asking the question, who approved it? What we also know is that critical appointments came from Asarok, and we're asking, who did they consult? And also what we know is that local government elections are being planned, but under what legal structure? And in the middle of all of this is the issue of reconciliation. And we're asking Prince Ruben Favor, does all of this thing matter? And what are the people in all of this? Where are the people of River State in all of this? And what should be the position of the people of River State? Prince Favor Ruben is a former state chairman, Labour Party, a member of the National Vice and a former National Vice Chairman, South Labour Party, and is presently the national chairman of the South Democratic Movement. And he has stated very, very clearly that should there be any local government election in River State today, Labour Party will participate. 07050791021, 081-174-31021, and 070-733-50623 for female callers only. Let's take your contribution. What do you think? Join the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning, Pastor Shebu. How are you doing?
How are you doing? Good morning.
Yes, my name is Honorable Prince Chomachunwa.
Honorable Prince Chomachunwa, good to hear you. A long time.
Yes, how you doing?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yes, I've been listening to the conversation, and I agree totally with what Favor is saying. So he's saying what I think is right. You know, I just listened to people that spoke before him, and I disagree with that because everybody knew how this River State was before now. You know, when you do factions will meet everywhere and they begin to fight and begin to agitate and begin to make issues. But we have seen this, the direction of the emergency in Rivers State, we have experienced some calmness in it. You know, when people talk about obedient movement, we all know that obedient movement has been since dissolved after the 2023 election, because it was formally just formed because of that particular election. And we have seen that. But when I see people of Simplified coming to claim that they are obedient movement, I disagree with that, because they are not Simplified. They are not obedient movement. Those people are Simplified people. You know, that's what I see.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Prince Chuma, and it's good to hear you after several times. But good to hear you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's take another one. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
My name is Tamunokuro Pusunju.
Tamunokuro Pusunju, you need to speak to your mouthpiece. Speak directly to your mouthpiece.
Can you hear me? My name is Tamunokuro Pusunju.
Fantastic, better. Great. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'll be very quick, in fact, 30 seconds. I've heard Prince Ruben Favor, one of the people I have personal respect for. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
Yeah. To debunk a few things, I am not a party to Gogo. I mean, the moderator there knows that I've countered Gogo a lot of times. But we are in solidarity for what is good, what is fair, and what is right. As a Labour Party stakeholder, even at the grassroots, and also I have grown to become a stakeholder at the state level. For morality's sake, we have said that we will not contest this local government election that will be conducted by a cross-riverian man as recent chairman. That is number one as Labour Party. I'm saying as a Labour because I am with Hilda Dokubo. Number two, you know, a lot of facts that you have posited. We are not an ESCO member at the state level. So when you're talking about Labour Party, even the South you're shouting about, you're no longer there. You have been removed. Your tenure has expired. However, we know that what the governor had done, or rather has been doing, you know, was not really in tandem with some of the promises because of the fight and then the weekend's interference. But as Labour Party, we will come out to unanimously. Even the IPAC also has said no party will contest in the forthcoming local government election in solidarity with the Constitution, in solidarity with the governor. Yeah. However, we want a peaceful River State and we want our governor back.
Thank you so much, Oposungi. We quite appreciate that. And I have a question there. If you said you will not contest, does this stop the local government election? I'm going to be asking Prince Ruben for that. But let's take more call. Hello, good morning.
Yes, Tiago, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, my name is JAJ and I'm calling you from Port Harcourt.
JJ, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Tiago, does the native doctor need the permission of the e-goat, whether it's frowning or not, before you use it for sacrifice? Check what I'm asking.
I'm not a native doctor, so there's no way I will know. And I'm not an e-goat.
No. You don't need to be e-goat. And whether the e-goat frown or doesn't frown, the native doctor will use it for sacrifice. I was thinking that your guest in the studio is one of the ESCO of the Labour Party, but what do I know at the end of the day? If the party has taken a decision that this is what we'll do, I doubt if an individual, unless we are beginning to run independent candidate in this country. But the last guy that called, not this present one, the other guy that you greeted so much, was talking that no simplify is obedient. I don't get it at all. People can have their various interests. After all, what we have right now, simplified, is River State, and it can become obedient somewhere, unless they assure their door that anybody that is supporting the governor shouldn't near their camp at all. And I wonder how they will even make any edge at the end of the day. Right. I'm not an obedient person. I don't even like obeying in the first place, so I must be clear here. Right. So, but it has nothing to do with me. But coming with that in a public radio doesn't make any sense at all. And your guest also supported him. It doesn't make any sense at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, JJ, and we quite appreciate it. Let's take another one. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Shegu. How are you?
Thank you so much, sir.
Dr. Minasu Jackson.
Dr. Minasu Jackson, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Well, in all of this, democracy is bleeding in River State. we should look beyond individuals and look at institutions. We should look beyond political affiliation and look at the interests of Rivers people. We have seen a bewildered Rivers people subjected to crass silence. 1.48 trillion naira budgeted for Rivers people.
Actually, it's 1.8. Yeah.
Fine. 1.84
yes.
trillion budgeted for Rivers people without a comprehensive input of the Rivers people. For crying out loud, what manner of democracy are we practicing? If democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people, how come that the remaining 36 states of this country had their budget made by their own people, but Rivers State budget is made from outside Rivers State? How come? How have we been subjected to this level of misery in our own state, in our own country? Where is the democracy? I am not party to anybody. I am not in support of anybody. I am in support of democratic institution. Today we are talking about local government election. The 1999 Constitution as amended is clear and unambiguous on how local government election can be conducted. Relying on emergency rule to violate the Constitution and the grand norms of this country is laying a foundation for anarchy tomorrow. Let democracy be entrenched in our society.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
Let us look at things that will develop us tomorrow, not things that will develop us, deny us liberty today.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Minazu Jackson. Thank you so much. A very fantastic position you have there. And I'm going to come back to Ruben Favor, Prince Favor Ruben, former state chairman, Labour Party, national vice chairman, South of Labour Party, and presently the national chairman, South Democratic Movement. Now, one of the member of Labour Party said, look, don't take Prince Ruben Favor serious. That Ruben Favor cannot say Labour Party will participate in the election. And according to him, said Labour Party has decided not to participate in any local government election. Do you think this will stand?
You see, some of them in Port Harcourt, they don't even know. I'm just coming from Abuja yesterday with the national chairman and secretary. We have taken a decision.
What is the decision of the national chairman and secretary?
We have conducted the election in Rivers State. But some of them are ignorant of what is going on.
No, just hold on a little bit. Maybe you need to tell us again that you are saying of a fact that you met with the national leadership.
I say I was with the national chairman and secretary
of Labour Party.
Go to INEC website today and see who is national vice chairman South. Because they are two. You see, people just talk because they want to talk. The people that are talking, their name is not in INEC, that are claiming that they are ESCO. I decided to allow them to be operating. If I say tomorrow you are not operating, they will not operate. Go to INEC website. See who is the national vice chairman South. I have told them the next time I will deal with one of them, I will take them to court. And they will pay for lying to the public. And I'm not joking. Because they stay in Rivers State and conquer everything. I am meeting with national chairman secretary every time. And we plan. And this local government election, as I'm telling you, if either just watch whether we are going to participate or not, then we will know who is lying or who have authority. Somebody cannot speak when you don't know anything about
it. So you are saying that on the
authority... I am telling you that on the authority of the national, we have agreed that we are going to participate in the local government election. Any other person that say they will be watching and we will be there. Labour Party will be there. Then that's the time we will know who have the authority of Labour Party in Rivers State or not. It's not a matter of argument. Let the local government election come and they will see who have the authority of Rivers State. Last election, I said form. I brought form from national to say. But some of them are novice. They don't know. They don't know. Most of the candidates that were flying, it was through me. But they don't know. If I say that election will not hold, it won't hold. But you see, when they give them lies and they believe in lies, I just allow them to flow in that their stupidity. They don't know what we plan. They don't know the movement we are doing. They don't know how we are repositioning the Labour Party.
Prince Favor Ruben, you need to be very, very conscious of some of the words you use on radio, and so we just be mindful.
I said, let them
of
be
those
moving
words.
in their stupidity.
No, again, just be calm with some of those words.
People will not want to know something.
Does it bother you?
You speak what you don't know.
Does it bother you that the likely chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission may not just be from Rivers State? Do you think you will have a
let me
fair
tell you
election?
let me just say the truth.
Yes.
The thing is that all the Rivers indigenous have been conducting rubbish election.
How do you say so?
Have you ever seen any local government election that have been free, fair, and credit? I have been participating in them.
So you're trying to say...
The last one was the worst of all. How can you go for election? 319 councillors will go to one party. 23 local government chairmen will go to one party. You go to INEC, they will give you the day of screening of other opposition. Then when the ruling party comes, they will give them different dates. They will treat them the way that you'll be amazed. If a non-indigene, after all in River State, we have gotten non-indigene as a commissioner. Why didn't they protest? We have gotten non-indigene as commissioner in River State.
So what I hear you say is that you're saying that there's no one competent enough to...
That's not what I'm saying.
So
no,
because
far
you're saying
from
that
it.
all
We have a lot of
indigents-
competent people in River State. We have them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if a non-indigene will be neutral to conduct free, fair, and credible election that other political party can win chairman and councillor, so be it. Instead of having a professor that we announce people name and party, and most of these people today were the people celebrating those charan. They were the people celebrating it. That it was good because it favored them. When it doesn't favor you, I was on this station and I said, you people should not worry. When they were abusing me, I said, don't worry. When 2027 election will come and will not favor some of you, obedient movement, or those of you, you will shout. Now it has come, they have started shouting. Because why? They fear that the governor will not tell the RISIEC what to do. You see a party that do not have rat in River State will win 22 local government and win all the local councillor. Where are they today? Let them come and contest, because they say they were on ground. Now that the governor will not control it, it's a different ball game. All the parties that say they were on ground, let them come out and contest election. We want somebody that can be neutral. The only thing is that he's not an indigene of River State, which I think I am not in support. But as long as the man will conduct free, fair, and credible election and allow Rivers people to be in council, to do the bidding of the people, not godfather or one governor will stay in government house and write the name of people and announce it, and you not tell me an election because it's an indigene. I will not. So if the man is not an indigene but is going to conduct free, fair, credible, transparent election, I tell them, if Labour Party will not participate, when we discover that the man too want to play the game, because we know how to discover it, when we discover that the man is not going to play the game, we are going to shout and we are going to pull out.
So what I hear you say is that what you're desirous of is a free, fair local government election.
Simple. We want democracy at the grassroots.
It's inconsequential where the person comes from.
At all, to me, it's inconsequential. I'm telling you the truth.
All right.
Because if my people, who are Rivers people, can treat us like rat in RISIEC, then a non-indigene can come. Let's see how he can do it.
Well, fantastic.
So I don't care.
Let me take you to the telephone lines now, because we'd like other people to join in the conversation. So according to Prince Ruben Favor, what matters is a proper local government election. It's inconsequential where the RISEC chairman comes from, as long as the dividends of democracy would cascade to the rural communities and all local government elections through fair electoral process. That's what matters to him. Do you support such a view? Let's take this call. Good morning.
Good morning, Shegu, once again.
Thank you so much.
Your guest in this studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask a question. Do we really have a free and fair and transparent election in Nigeria? No.
Okay.
The answer is no.
No. You're asking a question. You can't answer. So you're saying that is it possible to have a free, fair, credible
We don't
election?
have free and fair and credible and transparent election in Nigeria. So you don't expect me to believe your guess that a total stranger will come and conduct free and fair election where the numbers of local government chairman is being written down to give to INEC to research to result out. Yeah, your guess is not telling you the truth too. It's not, your guess doesn't have Rivers people at heart.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think
It's only fighting for your own stomach.
I think you've made your point. Let's leave my guest alone. Let's stay on the issue here. Let's take this one. Hello, good morning.
Mr. Sheldon, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, it's Mr. Frank.
Mr. Frank, thank you so much for joining. Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Sheldon. It's so sad when I listen to Rivers men talking like this.
Now, Mr. Frank, why don't you stay on the issue and leave the personality alone? All right, we lost Mr. Frank there. Let's take this one. Good morning.
Good morning, Pastor Shegu.
Thank you for joining us. Point blank.
Yes, my name is Innocent Ajelu.
Honorable Innocent Ajelu, good morning.
Morning. Okay, first, I've been listening to the persons analyzing what they know and what they don't know. I wanted to ask the former guest, which is a lawyer, I guess, if he have the Supreme Court judgment concerning River State. State of emergency in River State has just come to silence all the viewpoint, all the valued points the Supreme Court ruled. I don't just he has gone. Coming to say no, a non-indigenous is a taboo to conduct election in River State. I don't know where they're getting this. In the 36 states of Nigeria, let them come and tell me which of the states that an indigenous of that state is an is the state electoral officer that have been conducting elections since 1999.
Honorable Innocent Ajelu, we're talking about local government election. Of course, we know that
it's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. Like I said, Prince Ruben said, if a non-indigenous, which is a Nigerian, who has a right, is a Nigerian, maybe, and you know that there's a law that says that you stay in a place for more than 10 years, you can contest election. You can, in fact, I don't know why they say he's a non-indigenous. I don't know. Maybe because he's not from any local government in River State, but he has stayed in this state and he pays his tax, he has a right. Maybe that as he may, because me too, in a way, I'm not supporting it. But if this person called non-indigenous could conduct election, supervise it, and bring the needed development, the needed transparency, the needed independency, the needed that the godfathers could not sit down and do what the Gogo or AA did in the last 6 months election. My brother, I support it. Because if there is any election into the local government that have thrown River State into what it is today, was this last election. And in the wisdom of the Supreme Court, they saw that there was nothing called election. I have a case in Oyibo local government where somebody won as a councillor, according to them, announced, celebrated, given certificate of return. On the day of swearing in, a particular councillor in Ward 4, on the day of swearing in, they said, no, this is not who you are. See the person that is the councillor-elect. And they swore in somebody that didn't even participate in that so-called election. That is the worst election into local government. And I stand today to thank the Supreme Court for the wisdom they saw in that local government. And that was why all through their tenure, through five or 6 months tenure, there is nothing you see other than simplify whatever, simplify not whatever. So if this new person, wherever he comes from, could come and conduct a transparent and a verifiable election, let people come out and participate.
All right, fantastic. We thank you so much for that position, Prince Innocent, Honorable Innocent Ajelu, and you're very, very, thank you so much for those. We'll just take 2 more. But again, you're talking about a law that says a number of years a person has lived in a state. However, there is a proposed bill on indigenous status bill, but I'm not aware if there is a law in Nigeria that automatically grants indigenous status based solely on the number of years a person has lived in a state. But I'm aware that there is a proposed bill known as Indigenous Status Bill, which seek to change this status. So, again, well, lawyers can join me in this discussion. But let me just take 2 more calls here. We lost that. Let's come to these. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
want to correct a point. Where somebody called it the of Labour Party, I didn't know who is the national of Labour Party, chairman of Labour Party. You're supposed to know who is the national officer from the island quarter. And they are going ahead, calling the national officer. Every day, the national island quarter. Who is the depression? Second one, another one is knowledge or knowledge of never have said it before. Last election, the same man that said and is suspended is the same man that went after the Labour Party president and the chairman and governor was crying for the election they reached them out. And the second and the super leader and the other people executive are putting our head. They are placing in so bongo family. Why are presidents are crying for losing the election? And here to be to come and raise of Labour Party. Please share. Let's see that the money making on the play as well. Once give us
Thank you so much. We're just going to take one last one here before we begin to wrap up the show. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, hi, Sheg.
Good morning. Yeah.
Yeah, good morning to your guest, Mufasa on the line.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Sheg, my concern is not even about the indigenship of the state rec. For me, that is even inconsequential. My concern is the process. I believe that you cannot build something on nothing and expect it to stand. When the foundation is ruptured, when the foundation lacks that structural integrity, you can't have a valid, a valid building. The entire appointment and who are appointed the rec, it's unconstitutional.
Okay.
We have a situation where somebody does not even have the authority to appoint. It's given to us somebody to conduct an election for Rivers State. These are the issues. And unless we address these issues, we'll keep progressing in error. That's my position.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And we quite appreciate that comment. And quickly, let me just address the issue of indigent or no indigent. Now, again, there is no law in Nigeria that automatically grants indigent status based solely on the number of years a person has lived in a state. However, there is a proposed bill known as Indigent Status Bill, which seeks to change that. And the key point of the proposed Indigent Status Bill is one, you are born in that state and have lived continuously for 10 years. You were not born in the state but have resided in the local government area of that state continually for 10 years with evidence of tax payment for 10 years. Such a person will be entitled to apply for a certification of indigency for local government chairman or local government from the local government chairman. However, the bill has passed second reading in the House of Representatives as early 2025 this year and is still under consideration. So the issue that if I have stayed in a place for a very long time, I am an indigent of that place. No, there's no status like that in law. However, let me come back to you, Prince Ruben Favor. Given everywhere we found ourselves, what should be the disposition of Rivers people at this point?
No, let me come back to that before I just answer you.
Yes.
We have people in this state that are not indigent that are contesting for local government election. I can tell you there. We have no indigent that are SA to the governors. We have no indigent that have been commissioners. So what is the issue of no indigent or indigent? So I don't think it's a problem. Like we said, like the last caller said, is the process to this thing. If they are not doing the right thing, then we are not going to be part of it. Whether indigent or no indigent, it's not my business. It's not my business. My business is conduct free, fair, and credible election. Each time we shout when a governor will do it, they will tell us because we are not on ground, we are not this, we are not popular, because they know the governor will just write name and submit. But now, I pray it should come to stay where the man will do the re-election. Everybody will face it and let's see where we are going or where we are not going. I think Rivers people, if they understand that their local government need a representative chosen by themselves, they should not oppose this. Because we have seen local government chairmen that they don't unpick. Because the governor will just unpick somebody and place him there, and the man will mess up the whole system because he doesn't know why he is there. We have seen it. And the why most of these elected people are not bothered is because they believe that nobody elected them. If they elect a chairman and the chairman messed up, you can decide to call him back because you elected him. But today we have elected people who have been unpicked from one place to the other. So when you talk, they believe that whether they do the right thing or they don't do the right thing, anytime their godfather say it is you, it become you. So the woman that say for stomach for what? That I say the right people should mount local government. Is that for my stomach? People that are crying are people that were eating from the former government and they are not getting 1 naira again. So they are all broke.
Prince Ruben, we need to begin to wrap up now. So again, what would be your the poster? What would say Rivers people should?
I want Rivers people to support anything that is right, which is the local government. Let's support it and put democracy at the grassroots so that Rivers State can move forward, so that we can see development. That's my own. Like we have said it, and we are going to support it. The day we discover the man is not doing the right thing, I will be the one that will also oppose him. I will fight him. I will make sure that he do the right thing. That's our work.
Well, there you have it. You heard it from the National Vice Chairman, South Labour Party, and presently the National Chairman, South Democratic Movement, Prince Ruben Favor. Says Labour Party will support local government election, and Labour Party Rivers State will participate in local government election on the condition that it will be done in a free, fair, credible atmosphere. And that's it. Once again, I must thank you sincerely, Prince Ruben Favor, for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you, listener. Bless you.
And that's it on Point Blank this Saturday. We do hope you enjoyed this week's edition. Don't forget, stay with us on Super 93.3 FM Port. The Horizon, which is a security watch program, is coming up next.
Tired of the lies? Tired of the spin? Are you ready to hear the hard-hitting truth in a comprehensive, conservative, and principled fashion? Point Blank on Super FM 93.3 brings you all the news you need to know. Real conversations, real news, and one-on-one interviews with some of the most intriguing names in Rivers State, South Nigeria, and the country today. Unbiased analysis the way you wish still existed.
They're damaging the economy of the country. I'm not bothered about whether federal government is supporting us or not. Look, if you cannot protect the lives of your people, then there's no governance.
From the news that dominates the headlines to the important topics below the fold, left, right, and center busts the opinion bubbles and echo chambers with genuine discussion and real talk.
Out of $500 million that President Jonathan borrowed for Kano, Abuja, Kaduna. At the time I was speaking, we were paid over 100 and something million out of the $500 million.
Tune into Point Blank with Shegan Awolabi every Saturdays 8:15 a.m. on Super 93.3 FM. Point Blank, civilized yet provocative.
Super FM. If you don't know who I am, Google me. Super FM. Super FM. Tell everyone you know. Wherever you are. Take my horse through the old town. You can get Super FM. It's Super FM. We're burning up the city and taking over. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. We're all the way up. Super FM.
I won't talk my mind, for anyone will feel relate, reading my cooler, Sometimes it feels like success is a trap, and sometimes it feels like people don't understand, cause the pressure plenty, and the expectations high. Even your day ones were supposed to get your back. Sometimes they ones they fight. And everybody has an opinion on how you supposed to live your life. And even people were supposed to show you the way. Now the people they back